Okay. Alright. Welcome back, guys. So, in the last video, we created our game state service. I actually skipped a pivotal step in testing out this service. So, we're gonna hook things up and actually see if this works correctly. So, let's go do that. So, the first thing we need to do is make sure that our application is actually utilizing this service. So, let's go into app module. And it's not, so let's provide the service. So what did I call this? Game state service. There we go. And I used tab completion, so it automatically imported it up here. Yep. And then let's see, I need to refresh this. All right, cool. So now we need to inject the service into our component, and that is done in the constructor of our game component. This is the right place, right? App game, yep. Okay. So private, I'm just gonna call it a game. Game state service. And that's all you have to do to hook up the service to your component. And the constructor is generally used just to inject dependencies. So that's why we instead use this ng on init, which is a lifecycle method that is called right when the component is mounted onto the page. All right. So let's get in here. Let's just console log really quick. Console log this dot game dot what's in here? We have a return here. Okay, so generate Simon. Generate Simon, and that should give us back an array, which it does, of red and yellow. Cool. So now we need to, what do we need to do? Let's see. Let's try to make sure. Let's go with the buttons. So we want to make sure that the player can guess using the correct button. So far we're inputting a color, and now we just need to output output an event. So I'm gonna call it on color. No, I'll call it guess. Yeah, that'll work. Event emitter from Angular core, good. It goes to new event emitter. Now we have to give this event emitter a type, and we're going to be emitting a string, so just do this. And this. So right now it's on click is this dot color is clicked. Does that still work? Yellow, green. All right, cool. So now instead of that, we're just gonna replace with this dot guess dot emit, and we're gonna emit the color of the button. So this dot color, and then now we have to listen to this event emitter on our parent component. So let's just do this really quick. So we're listening on to the guess, because that's the name of the event emitter that we created. And we're gonna call a player guess. Yeah, that's the function name that we're gonna use. So here, here, and here. And now it should error out because we haven't implemented that function yet. So let's go do that. and that is the name of it. So player guess. We actually need to get the guess, so I'll just do E, and this is gonna be a type string. Console log E. E is shorthand for events, but yeah, shorthand, and then make sure that we are passing in the correct argument. So $ events, and the $ is just how Angular interprets. Let's see, the output of this of this event emitter goes into this variable argument name. It's just the way it is. So with all that, pressing yellow should output the color. So if we were to change this yellow to, let's say, yellow, it will output yellow. All right, now let's get rid of that because it's a really old joke. Okay, let's see. Now we need to hook this player guess into our service. So doing that, we will do this dot game dot player guess E, and if I remember correctly, that takes in a string value, and it should do the thing. So that's, and it's not returning anything, which probably should. Alright, I'll be right back. So I was actually debating whether or not to introduce observables because I wanted this video series to be more beginner focused. However, I think that observables makes things a lot easier and would save us some trouble. So if I lose you by introducing this to you, I'm sorry, but if you're learning Angular, you will be introduced to this concept sooner than later, so might as well start. So we're gonna create an observable after with all of that. I'm gonna call it state. It's gonna be new subject import of type any for now. So let's see. So subject is basically it's a partial of an observable. So I believe this will work. So observable any. But let's get rid of that because that's kind of a little overboard. So one second. I'm gonna let's put a new function down here called let's follow the React convention of calling it setState because why not? So this dot state dot next. I'll code this out really quick, then I'll explain it. This dot player Simon, this dot Simon, and then I think we also want the counts. This dot count. All right. So what's happening here is state or this dot state is an observable, and then we're calling the next function, which will feed into the state, passing in this data. So whenever the set state method is called, it's updating the state. That way we don't have to worry about making sure our functions always return the right things, or making sure that we have to ask the service for certain things. Because anytime the state is updated, it'll automatically be what's the word, updated in the component. So yeah, with hopefully that's not too confusing, but let's actually use this observable. So in our game component, here we go. We are gonna do this nope, not that one. This game state subscribe, and with the state we're gonna right now just console log the state. Yeah. So the subscribe is gonna hook into the state, and every time the state is updated, it's gonna do this following callback function. And let's also do a this.game.generate Simon. Oops. And currently we're using generate Simon and player guess, so let's make sure that these two update the state. So we just need to do a this.setState in both of those. So let's just this.setState, and then in here this.setState. Alright. And now let's go back to our game component and let's test these things out. So this is ng-on init. The first thing that's run, Simon is currently yellow and red. So if we touch yellow, the state is updated and gives us back the thing, and the player is now yellow. And then if we press the wrong button, so green, the player array should be emptied out because they got strong, and now they have to retry. So yellow, red, and then now it's both correct, and we did not take into account updating the count when the player is correct. So that's good. We're gonna start debugging now, so that's something. So that should be in the player guess. So if compare Simon, okay, that makes sense. So in here, so for turn false. Okay, and then in here, if this dot player dot length is triple equals to this dot Simon dot length, then we're gonna run the function of updating the count, the Simon, and the player. So I believe we have not created that method yet. So let's go do that. Yeah, it definitely should be its own function. So call it update game. So first we need to do we need to increment append Simon and set increment to true. So this dot append Simon and true, and then we need to set the player back to empty, and I believe that should be it actually. So in here, this if statement, we just call update game, and that should work. All right, let's try this again. So Simon is currently green and yellow. So green, and then yellow, which was correct. Now it's green, yellow, green. So green, yellow, green. And now the count is at 4. Simon has now 4 things, and the player has to restart. This is the blue, which is wrong. Start with green, then blue. Green, blue. So we should empty it out. Yep. Alright, cool. Our service is good to go. Everything's hooked up. And now we just need to work on the UI part of it. So the display and design of everything. And we'll do that in the next video. Alright, I'll see you guys next time.